Alrighty, so one of the next major problems that we tend to see a lot with students is with missing documentation. And if you remember in a couple of the videos where I talked about citation and paraphrasing, and if you haven't watched those, you may want to go back into the playlist and look for the one that says citation and plagiarism, or summarizing and plagiarism, something along those lines. So anytime that you have specific information that you are trying to convey, then what you need to do is make sure that if it gets specific enough, you need to give a source for this. Okay, so we have this sentence here, and it could have been taken out of an economics paper, a argumentative research essay, or an opinion paper, something like that. According to one source, and I'm going to go ahead and underline that, we're going to come back to that. According to one source, it costs almost twice an employee's salary to find and train a replacement. So I think we all kind of recognize what that's saying, that if you, let's say, are paying someone $50,000 a year, wouldn't that be nice? But let's say that you're making $50,000 a year, and you ask for a raise, ask for something, or perhaps the company just doesn't like the way that you're conducting business, or you don't like the way they conduct business, and you are ready to move on, whatever. So that $50,000, it's going to cost each company to replace someone twice that. So $100,000 to find and then train a replacement. It's similar with customers. Is it, if for any of you that are fans of the television show The Office, you might remember the discussion that, what is his name? BJ Novak's character, Ryan, has with Michael Scott, where he asks him, does it cost more to get a new customer or to keep an existing customer? And it does, in fact, because you have to invest the resources to have HR or whoever go out and find the replacement, vet them, meaning go through their background, make sure they're qualified, and then to train that replacement. It takes a lot of money. That's why most companies are not as quick to fire somebody unless they've really, really, really done something wrong, or they're just not really competent at their job, because it costs so much to replace them. All right, so because we're talking specifically about numbers here, now obviously not actual numbers, but this is not exactly common knowledge. I mean, I didn't necessarily know this. I don't know how many of you might have known this, but I didn't know it costs twice, Now, obviously, if you're working at McDonald's or something like that, and you're making $10 an hour, so it costs them $20 an hour to find and train your replacement. That's maybe not the end of the world for them. But if you are making a decent salary, that's a lot of money to invest in something. So, because this wouldn't be considered common knowledge, we need to be more accurate in terms of not just saying a source or one source. You need to tell us who that source is, and if there's a page number associated with it, we need that too. So there are a couple of ways you can do this. So one would be very simple. We take our period off at the end of the sentence, and let's say this came from the magazine The Economist, and it was on page 25. Then that's what you would need to do. Put your period at the end, and we're good to go. You've put this in MLA format. We've got the name of the publication, or if it has an author, let's say the author's name is Smith, and then our page number. So another way that you could do this to give credit is you could say, according to, economists, sorry, that's a little messy, comma, it costs more, it costs almost twice as much, blah, blah, blah. So if it has a page number, that page number still needs to go in at the end there. If it doesn't, then don't worry about it. But either way you choose to do that, when you get more specific than just basic general knowledge, you need to make sure that you're giving us where you got the information from, instead of just having this very vague reference of one source. So that's not specific enough for this particular statement. And whether you do citations at the end here, whether you replace one source with the actual source, and then put the page number at the end if you need to, whatever it is, you just need to make sure that when you're going beyond common knowledge, and I'll remind you, again, common knowledge is things like Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. The sky is blue. Gravity is a thing. George Washington was the first president of the United States. Pharaohs and mummies came from ancient Egypt. Those are your winter is cold, summer is hot. Like those kind of things are considered common knowledge. So when you get into this maybe more detailed way of expressing yourself, that's when you have to start paying attention to avoid incremental or accidental plagiarism. Okay? All right, so hang on, and if you want to watch the next installment in the grammar videos, please go ahead to the next one.